This is the Brave Space podcast. Brave Space is a healing place for gun violence prevention professionals and survivors. My name is Dr. Jordan, and I'm here with Fitz and Red. You want to introduce yourselves?
Fitz Smith, part of Brave Space. So I'm super excited to be here, to lock in, and to already had a conversation.
And you know me, I'm Darryl Redmond, a.k.a. Mr. Get Back to the Block, man. Coming out of Portsmouth, Virginia. Reducing violence one community at a time.
Nice. So we are here in Portsmouth, Virginia, which I have some family roots here, so I'm feeling pretty good about being back in the city. Of course, Red, you know, you and I met a few months ago, and as part of the CVI LA cohort. And then I'm out here doing a training for those who are working on the front lines to reduce gun violence. But also what I haven't done as much in this space, which I'm really excited about, is helping to train the mental health clinicians who also work with you all. So I think it would be good to just kind of start off. And if you both can let me know about your organizations, the work you're doing, why Portsmouth, let me know.
Well, for me, my organization is the Footprint Foundation, and we do the mental health piece, a part of the CVI work. Why Portsmouth? Why not Portsmouth, right? Oftentimes, cities that look like us oftentimes get left out or forgotten. So I was able to lock in with my brother, and we're out here not just trying to mine people, but we're trying to change their very lives. So that's why we're here.
Yeah, Nice.
And me, I'm Darryl Redmond. I'm the founder and executive director of Get Back to the Block. Our organization is predicated to reduce the homicides in Black and brown communities. I'm a person with a lived experience and understanding from being a shooter to becoming a person that gets in the middle to stop somebody shooting. First of all, it takes a crazy person to do it, but if you know me, then you know I'm crazy enough to do it. Mm-hmm. So it's very important for me to do it in Portsmouth because this is a city that I committed a lot of harm by using firearms. So I feel it's my duty and due diligence to come back and restore and provide healing to communities that I once upon a time destroyed.
Mm-hmm. How did you two link up? How did you two start working together in this space?
Should I tell the story, brother?
Please tell the story.
Crazy story. He had just come home, returning citizen, and a mutual colleague between the two of us brought him by my office, and didn't know a lot about him. So the first interaction was a little bit still trying to figure each other out, heard his story. They didn't really tell my story. But I can honestly say meeting my brother is probably one of the most liberating things from my own personal life. One thing about, Darryl, you'll find out, he lives his truth very openly. Mm-hmm. He opened up even with his dialogue. I have lived experience. Mm-hmm. And I think many times we hide behind our story. I also represent the faith community, and what's interesting is we always speak in the Bible, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the words of their testimony. Mm-hmm. I also have lived experience, but I oftentimes try to hide behind my testimony. So when I met my brother and I saw how honest and real he was, it struck a nerve for me. Yeah. Because it made me have to ask myself or self-evaluate, what are you afraid of? If this brother can be so honest and so real, why are you so afraid? And another part of the story as well is some of the rooms that we were in, his reputation, people were unfairly misjudging him. Yeah. And they wanted you to buy into an idea or a misconception of a dude who was just really amazing and just needed the people to understand who he truly was. And I remember I was sitting in one of our meetings, our mutual meetings, and I stood up. I was just frustrated. And I was like, a man who's willing to put his life on the line for his family, because the community we were going to talk about, there was a lot of violence. He went out there and he says, could no more violence happen in this community because my family is out here. And I stood up in this meeting and I said, any man who's willing to put his life on his line for his family is a man I need to stand beside. And I told him in that very moment, I'm not going to support him just in private. I'm going to support him in public. Yeah. And we've been locked in ever since.
What year was that y'all met?
We initially met when
2019,
and we've been locked in for the last couple of years, going on almost 3 years now.
It's nice. So it almost sounds like you saw parts of his testimony like in your own story. Would that be correct to say?
100% correct.
Yeah. What were some of the things that you saw that lined up that you felt like, okay, I really need to support Red?
Well, like I said, I think his truth, he didn't need a cosign. He's his own cosign. But what he did need is the rest of us who also had stories and brokenness. We each other's puzzle. He has his puzzle piece for me is in him, and my puzzle piece for him is in me.
Like, what is that specific?
So you hear, so when you say, keep this in mind, my brother says, I came back home and I wanted to repair some of the same streets I broke apart. Yeah. One man can't do it all by himself. So what it allowed me to do is find out where I fit in this puzzle called Portsmouth. So if enough of us bring our puzzle pieces together, we'll have a complete picture. And I think that's part of how it would work. Yeah, yeah.
What was it about Fitz that stood out to you? And were you just, like when you came out, were you just automatically comfortable telling your story? Or did you have to do some prep work? Like, how did that happen for you? Like, were you just sharing your story openly?
Yeah, so me, I'm a person that had a name before I left. So the streets already know who I was. So when I came home, I actually went to a community that was super plagued by violence, a community that I grew up in, that I created the violence in, which is by the Notes, which is was at one time one of the most dangerous communities in Portsmouth. And when I came home, I seen that community had a fence around it. That's the first thing I saw when I came home, and it reminded me of prison the first day. So I go out there, I see my mom and I see my sister, and then I'm like, what's going on? My mom started telling me, like, look, it ain't safe out here, this and that. I'm like, Mom, I'm home. And then a couple of days after I was home, somebody was murdered, probably about 150 yards from my mama's house. And at that moment that I be transparent about, and I tell people all the time, it was, what do I do? Because if it don't stop, I'm going back to prison. It was something I was willing to put my life on the line for. And that was my mom. So I went out there with a call to action, like, look, we ain't doing it out here no more. You shoot out here again, it's going to be a whole nother situation because if my mama ain't safe, ain't nobody safe. So being able to have that with some people that I knew and like we really got out there in that community and started to have conversations. So my story was something that I always been freely, openly talking about because I'm a person that understands, as you say, like I'm a person who believes. I'm a believer in Christ. I'm a person that believes from a degree of, as you say, we always talk about in the Bible these conversations about the great redemption story. One of the number one person that they talk about when they speak about the text, the biblical, is Paul. Yeah. But Paul is great when he Paul. And they never talk about Saul. But I'm the Paul, but they only talk about Saul. So that's what makes me get in a space that openly talks about what I did, but I talk about what I'm doing now. Yeah. So we have a community that still sees Saul when Paul is saving the whole community.
Thanks.
Yeah. I love that because, you know, as you had first started talking and you were mentioning the Bible, like that's what came to mind for me. And I've always felt that, especially like working with people on the front line in CBI, it's like, who are these predominantly men who have done damage or done something wrong in their community, but then they're going back to their community to say, you don't have to do what I did. Like, I feel like that's such a big piece of the story of CBI that's not always told in the right way. But I love how you just said that people, when they talk about the Bible, they talk about Paul, but they don't really talk about when he was Saul. But in CBI, it's like we're so focused on the fact that you're Saul, but not realizing like you're Paul. So how much of your faith played into this work for both of you?
I think for me, I think it's difficult for me to be physically safe, mentally safe, emotionally safe, but not spiritually safe. Right? And, and I think that the church or the faith community for so long have not been a safe space for me to run to so I can be made whole. Oftentimes, we sit out the door of the church with a clipboard and a flashlight trying to check people in. And I think CVI is we catch them, gotta clean them. Right? So I think that's the idea for me. How can I help? And my brother and I, we were talking about this. He goes into these very, very dangerous communities, danger zones, we call them, right? And I says, brother, just give them to me. I'm going to perform spiritual CPR, get them revived so we can get them back whole. So it takes all of us to work in unison. So not only he doesn't have to do all the work, but it shows me where I fit in the equation, right? And so that's how my faith plays. I'm the faith guy, and I enjoy being in that space. So that's how I'm able to kind of flow. And bro really helped me to see, where I fit in this full equation.
When it comes to me and faith, I'm a person that was born and raised inside the church. So faith has been something that I've always knew about. I always kept in the back of my mind, but I only reached to the part of that was inside my brain when it was necessary for me. I called on God when it was detrimental.
Thanks.
So it's like I ain't got nothing, but now when I'm getting in a situation that's the hardest part now, God, I got faith.
Yeah.
So what I know is that I was put in a situation that had to test that faith to a degree to actually help me. I'm a person that I always say openly inside my story as well. Prison was the best thing that happened to me. A lot of people tell me I shouldn't say it, but I tell people don't tell me what was the best thing for me.
Right.
Because I know had I not been in prison, I would have ended up winding up with more time or dead. Because I know how my mind was, and I had caught some cases that I'm running from, so it was a lot. So how it happened for a reason, and it put me in a space for the first time in my life where I was put inside of something the size of a bathroom for years. And it gave me one thing that most people in the United States, in the world, have never had. And it's time by myself. That's the best thing ever happened to me. I was able to be put in a situation that I didn't have to make no decisions with nothing else besides me, and it forced me to wake up and had to look at myself every day and say, you the problem. As long as I was able to move around or do things, I can blame everything on everybody else. And then it gave me time to actually think clearly with not being able to be distracted. A lot of times we can have thoughts or be intentional about wanting to do something, but distractions will come and keep us from it. I was put in a situation for years that all I had to do was think and reflect on every decision I made. And then it actually started bringing me back to the point of, my grandmother used to always say, you ain't do that. It was the devil inside of you that made you do it. So that was something that I didn't really understand. So understanding that faith and understanding that faith without works is dead. So people have faith, but what am I doing to prove it? So it plays a huge factor, and it still plays a factor today. Like, me and my partner talk about it. I tell him all the time, like, me and him laugh and joke, and I tell him, I got a better chance of going to heaven than your pastors because I'm saving souls and they collecting offerings.
Yeah.
Because I'm really in the community. I'm really doing the work.
Yeah.
Like Paul. The Bible says goes amongst the people.
Yeah.
And who are going amongst the people. Mm-hmm. And also in that whole perspective, I tell him that my daily prayer, because I talk to God different than some people talk to him. I tell God every day. My prayer every day is, God, you have to allow me to know that it was you that made it happen. Because if you let me think for 1 minute I made it happen, you ain't gonna get no praise. Because we live in a world that when we do something, I did that.
Yeah.
And every day, me and my partner have a conversation. I'm gonna call him several times throughout the day or several times throughout the week and be like, listen, bro, that's God again.
Thanks.
Because the rooms I've been in, the level I've been at, the things that I've been able to accomplish with all the distractions, all the trying to keep me out of rooms. It was only God that opened those same doors that a lot of those people that were saying this call my phone and shake my hand.
Yeah.
And I got enough faith to know that God done it, and I never talk about it. Because I'm going to keep doing the work.
Thanks.
Yeah. A lot of ways your work shows your faith anyways, right? Because like I said, like to go back into the neighborhood and teach these young kings, right, how to like transform their life so they don't have to go through what you already went through is like, that's like faith in action, right? So shortly after you came home, like y'all linked up, how did you two support each other, right? Because I imagine like transitioning back into society, into the community was a challenge. So how did you two like support each other? Like how did you support Reb?
I think the first and the most important way for me to support my brother was showing up. Bro did a training today, and he said that oftentimes one will go in a room and we don't go in a room together.
Yeah.
And how you show up for a friend and for your brother is we go together.
Yeah.
So that way, and he gave me, I've learned so much, running with bro, being a credible messenger, right? There are rooms and communities that we all have credibility in. But when I'm attached to bro's attached to me, he now gets my credibility as well I get his.
Yeah.
And also, too, we had to figure out what each other's strength was. Bro's all power. I'm more finesse, right? So what we had to do was see what that was. So, and I let bro use his power. And then when it's time for me to use my finesse, he let me use my finesse. And also, if he gonna be the center, I'm gonna be the guard. I don't need to play his position. He plays his position well. And when you throw me the ball, I'm gonna take the shot.
Yeah.
Right. So I think what was really important for me, and to be honest, one thing I've learned too, and especially you've been running the streets and you've had a certain type of lifestyle, loyalty means a lot.
Yeah.
Keeping it a band, keeping 100. I'm old enough to remember my word is my bond, right? And that's the only thing we had to make sure we understood with each other. I'm gonna give you my word, you give me his. We got everything else. We could lock in on everything else. Because as long as trust there, we could figure everything else out. And I believe that's probably some of the most valuable lessons and allow me to be able to lock in with bro is to know that, yo, I got you, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that's seen enough, right? Like two men with lived experience, have a strong foundation of faith, you know what I mean? But really come from the streets. Like, do you think it's seen enough, like how Black men can support each other? Like, do you feel like that narrative is seen enough, especially in CBI?
It's definitely not seen. It's either going to be one portion or another portion. And like I always tell my bro, like, be you. I'm a person that, regardless of how I've been my whole life, I'd rather be with a guy that I know, if we going into war, he ain't gonna shoot before I go to a war with somebody who say they are and don't shoot. Just be who you are. I'm okay with you being who you are. And that's the message that I convey to the young people. It's okay to be you.
Yeah.
We live in a space so much that, as you say, even in the CBI spaces, I gotta be this big person, or I have to be this, or I have to be that. I created something in myself that I have to live with. Mm-hmm. So I lead with what I know that they're going to use as a mechanism to already disengage a conversation that you're going to try to create on the back end. So I'm going to let you know off the top, yes, I did over 2 decades incarcerated, XYZ. However, because what happens in spaces, and I know it from being around it, you will say this, and then the room is, you know he was in jail.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you use the reverse psychology on the people that you're dealing with? And then for them to see it, see what can be obtained and done, and then get into a space around people and undermine it, actually doesn't happen. You know, inside this space of CDI is so much, everybody want to be competitive.
Yeah.
Instead of everybody being collective.
Mm-hmm.
And when me and my bro got together, it's like the community, a lot of people in the community, trust me, they don't like it.
Yeah.
I know they don't. But you have to respect it because you're not going to disrespect me.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
And you have to like it on this side where he on because I'm a believer in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
But you engage in what your heart really cares about.
Yeah.
And you can see it. We two people that's from the street. And what it was that we always had a conversation about now is people knew what the power was if we got together.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So it was to keep them disengaged. It was to tell him stay away from me because they know how I think.
Mm-hmm.
But what they had already knew was that he can build.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about how we work together collectively so fast, like I'm a person, I come up with 1 million ideas in one day.
Yes, he does, Doc. Oh my God.
I come up with 1 million ideas in a day. But what his gift and craft is outside of faith is, I can give him an idea of a program, he can build it in 2 days.
Mm.
So every program that I have, he's able to build it into a curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And we're able to present it and execute it because I can get the participants, I can get the community. My lack was creating the structure of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what he likes to do. But he was inside communities that stunted his ability to be creative because they knew what he can do.
Mm.
So now when they seeing it together, it's like, I can't stand them because they're doing something else now.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Like this summer, we was able to run this summer 4 or 5 different programs. We had a robotic program where we taught STEM and robotics. We got a grass cutting program where we employ 33 young people. Partner with a program to do electrical, and we work in the community center. And I'm still in the community every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we still doing testify. So these people looking around like how they doing it, and then they really upset because what they say in the back of their mind is they doing all that and ain't nobody gave them no money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
But you don't need money when you got God.
I was just about to say, I mean, God clearly provides, right? Because we're sitting in this space right now that was provided for you all. And then also, too, I mean, we've been talking all day, right, in the training earlier about just the power of partnership.
Thanks.
But also partnering with the right person who can, like, balance out your own skills and talents, because that's y'all's superpower, right? Like, y'all have the lived experience, y'all have the faith, but then you can come up with the ideas and then you can build the program, right? Which I think is so important. And then can you share too, Fitz, like just share more about your lived experience and how that factors into you coming into this space?
Sure. So what's interesting is my parents and my siblings, they're all born in Jamaica. So they, immigrated from another country to America, and I came on the scene. I grew up in a culture within a culture. And my father was battling addiction, unfortunately. So my brother, who's 7 years older than me, he was my hero. And he was a drug dealer. He was a hustler. And it's hard to see that as being wrong or illegal when the person who you love is doing it. So I wanted to be him. And And so when the opportunity presented itself, and I was able to live out a life that really wasn't called for me. I wasn't living my own life. I was living my brother's life. And so I caught a drug charge, but I had so much gifting inside of me that I didn't utilize it because I was living somebody else's life. And the shame and the embarrassment came for me because I actually caught that drug charge when I was in college. I was in college and I caught a drug charge and got put out of school. And so my parents, they never went to college, never went to high school. They left another country to come here. And my mom would tell me her only hope was to come to America for a better life. And here I was squandering a life that my mother was trying to build that she didn't even build for herself. So the sacrifices she made was for me and for us. And I remember I was heartbroken. I was devastated. And it brought me to depression too, because I caught the drug charge. I'm a convicted felon. And I'm put out of school. And my mother's only hope for me is that I would make something of my life. So I ended up going back to school, but I was head behind, that story because it was the shame of it. Right? And that's why I said when bro came home, and I was just like, wow, man, there's so much liberation. Like I said, earlier, in this, not just about being honest, because I wasn't lying, but being truthful to myself. And I want to leave you with this too. I remember one day I was having a therapy session, and a brother said to me, "You have to know when the debt has been repaid. You got to know when to forgive yourself. That debt's been repaid."
When did you know that?
When I know it's repaid, or when I think I'm still knowing that. But I think you move anyway. Like bro said, faith without work is dead. I think I'm finally doing the work. So I'm knowing that in real time. It's playing out every single day. Every day I get stronger. Every day I tell the story a little sweeter. Every day I remember another part of the story that I can be more transparent about. And I think that's how I'm able to bring it all to a full circle moment and be in this space right now and even having this conversation or in this community to help give back. Even though I'm not from here, but help one place is helping any place.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Do you, when you say you're still learning every day that the debt has been repaid, where does faith come in to that? Because when I hear that, I'm like, but Jesus died, he rose, he's on the throne, the debt it is paid for all of us, for all of our sins. So but tell me more what specifically that means.
Sure. I think forgiveness is a hard pill to swallow, right? I think it's easier for us to forgive the offender than to forgive ourselves, right? And I think why that is because we're a lot harder on ourselves. The greatest expectation is really inside of me. Trust me, I want more from me than you could want from me.
Yeah.
Right? And there are some spaces that I wish to have achieved to. And sometimes I feel like I'm running behind. Right? And the debt being repaid is when I look around and I'm locked in with bro. Bro owns a nonprofit agency. So do I. Right? We're doing great work. We're saving lives. We employ 33 teenagers. So hopefully you don't have to make the same mistakes we have made. And yet we don't really sit down and say to ourselves, well, God, look how far you've brought us. Right? And sometimes we can even stumble back into our soul mindset, even though we're Paul now, right? Every once in a while, we still have, that old feeling of guilt or regret, right? And really process and working through that.
Yeah. What about for you? Right.
One thing he said, and like you say, when we there, the words say, even Paul say, sometimes I want to go do good, but evil just is here with me.
Yeah.
So having that, but with me, like I say, inside those spaces with me, it's like, I'm not supposed to be here per man.
Yeah.
So the only person that can stop me is me.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, I have a conversation when I speak to any young person, older person, or whatever, I always tell them, a made-up mind is the most powerful thing on the planet.
Facts.
Yeah.
And if we can control the way we think, we can control anything.
Yeah.
I was a person, and I had this conversation, and I think it's why a lot of people listen and understand, especially in my community that I'm at. I spent over 20-some years in prison. Everything I did on the street, I did in prison. Then I get in prison, I learn a few programs, I learn how to maneuver the system. But one thing I had already knew in my mind was that if you ever let me go, I ain't never coming back. So that's why I like when you be talking about therapy and how it's done differently, and it depends on who you around.
Mm-hmm.
And when we was talking about the day when you was doing the training and talk about how communities and genetics do all these things, and these people want to do all this data and research. And I tell people all the time now that for 20-some odd years in prison, every time I went for an annual review, every time I talked to a doctor, every time I took for a therapist, I lied. And one thing I talk about with anybody who's been incarcerated is that we lie to them every day. Because one of the craziest questions you ask an individual that's been incarcerated is, how you doing today?
Yeah.
And when I say good, it's traumatic.
Yeah.
Who's doing good incarcerated?
Yeah.
You are confined and you say you are doing good. So you have to lie to yourself to even trick your own mind to believe that you're okay in an oppressed condition. But what I knew is that once I'm released, you'll never see me. But I came home ranked with an 87% chance of reoffending within 6 months.
Who gave you that percentage?
Department of Corrections. So they do an evaluation with you prior to coming home and put you on a level of high, very high, and all these things like this. But I was on probation and parole in 14 months. I had 20-some years on probation and parole. I'm one of the first people that's been previously incarcerated with the type of cases I had to have all my rights restored. I'm a notary. I've been to Dubai. I've been around the whole country. I am a person that was told that I can never possess a firearm. I possess a concealed carry.
Yeah.
I'm a notary. So don't tell me what you can't do. And it went from a situation where they was telling me, you'll be back. And I told them, I'll be back. And then right now I go back through the front door and I leave back out the front door.
Yeah.
So sometimes people can speak something that's for evil, but it becomes good.
Yeah.
So I walk inside those same doors and see these same officers and sergeants and wardens with a message to the point that some of them don't even want me back in because some people can't swallow the pill of your success.
Facts.
Yeah. That's so true.
Facts.
And you know what I tell them?
What'd you tell him?
That ain't.
But you know what, Doc? And I'll be honest with you. That's what I love, bro. You know, safety in the streets look like us. The church looks like us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. For sure.
Lived experience, tattoos,
For
hat to the
sure.
back. This is what ministry looks like.
For sure.
Be street ministry, be prison ministry, be church ministry. This is what your church looks like.
Let me call my homeboy out while we on Brady Streets, man. We're going to go ahead and call him out, right?
Yeah, let's go.
So, I'm glad. So, my bro always talk about church, right? And this is one thing that I told him when we first started having this conversation about faith and church. I told my brother, I put myself in a position to be exiled from community, right? By making a change. People, when I came home, everybody thought I was back in the street, this and that, because I got everything. You know, I haven't touched drugs or nothing since I've been home. That's too far removed from me. I'm a hustler. I'm not a drug dealer. You take drugs away from a drug dealer, he doesn't have nothing. I'm a hustler. So a hustler knows ways to encounter to generate economics. I understand money. I understand that paper isn't anything. So even when I was in prison messing up, when everybody thought I was doing these things, I was doing a lot of things in prison, gambling, drinking, fighting, playing ball. I did all of that to suppress my trauma.
Mm.
But on the back end, I was in there reading books and getting my credit right. So if one person saw one thing, I came out here with a credit score and I get anything I want.
Yeah.
So I'm a thought-provoking person. I'm partner tell you, everything I do, I done already thought it out all the way here before I even started doing it. And I told my brother this. I said, you love the faith community, right? I know how much he loved it. But I told him something. I said, the same way God came in and did this, some of the people that you with gonna leave you because you're stagnating from liberating people. Because there's some people that you're around that don't want you to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
When he first said, he was like, when I met him, I'm talking to him, he'll tell you this before we even got to this point of doing any of this. I said, bro, you're gonna be the person that can liberate the people and get people back to church.
Yeah.
Our people don't want to hear old time religion.
Yeah.
Our people don't want to sing no hymn and clap and do it like this.
Mm-hmm.
Our people don't want to come in here and say, I got to put a suit. Some people don't come to church because they believe if I come, I got a house suit. I can't afford it.
Right.
We did the event with Testify. And it's this lady, I don't speak her name, but it was an amazing story about her, how we had some things. But we bumped into a lady that in a prior encounter, God put me in a space to save her life.
Mm.
Literally. So I met her on his back end, didn't even know who she was. And this same person, this is how God worked. The same person, when I met her, had a mutual relationship because he was her teacher before.
Mm.
Yeah.
So when we're doing this event, if you heard her sing, she sounded like a Helia Jackson somebody. So we asked her to sing, come to church. The first thing she said was, what do I gotta wear?
Mm.
And me and him had just had a conversation where I told him, when we create this Testify, we can't judge nobody about how they coming in here.
Yeah.
We get to the church. She asked the question, and when we got there, I had 3 young boys that were sitting in the parking lot with hoodies on and say, I said, man, come on. They said, man, we can't go in here because we got a hood on.
Mm.
I said, that's the problem with the church.
Mm-hmm.
If the word states come as you are, come as you are.
Yeah.
But when we got systems in place to dictate how somebody can worship, that's a cult.
Mm-hmm.
It's not freedom.
Yeah.
And then, as he say, my brother want to create a space that's free.
Yeah.
Like you got the brave space. He want the church to be a brave space that people can come into.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the only way to do it is you're going ahead to walk away from some things because how they see it
Mm-hmm.
ain't going to be the way that it needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Same way we was talking about, as you were talking about training today. People have seen it some way for so long
Yeah.
that people that have been a part of degrees and institutions believe that that's how it's designed to work. And my partner tell you, I always have conversations with people be like, well, it's been like that for so long. I tell people this all the time. How do you communicate now? You either got a cell phone or Android iPhone. I said, and you 80 years old. So that means you don't call me on a telegram or a rotary phone.
Mm-hmm.
So don't tell me you can't change.
Yeah.
If you can change and keep up with the way people communicate, you should be able to keep up with the way that you receive information.
Yeah. Yeah.
And our kids have never used a rotary phone, so why are you trying to use a rotary method?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that. I love how you just said that. Because you're right, we need new ways to especially communicate to the younger people. And, you know, before you leave us, I would love if you could just say something about like how you affirm red, right? Because I feel like, again, like we don't see enough Black men affirming each other. Mm-hmm. But I know that there's a lot of affirmation and validation that happens between you two because you work so well together, right? You have a lot in common. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of power when you two come together. So how do you affirm red, especially when people in this community may not you know, think that the work that he does is valuable, or they may look at you and say, okay, I'll work with a Fitz, but I'm not ready to work with a Red. Like, how do you validate him?
You know what's so interesting about that question, and thank you for the question. I think how I validate him is I validate who he is as an individual. I trust bro. So the training I'm a part of, the CVI training I'm a part of, let me tell you what really happened. One day I called bro one night, and I was just overwhelmed with emotions. Bro deals with death every single day. And, you know, we work on projects, you know, we're talking about, you know, unfortunately the people's been shot. I said, bro, I'm starting to become overwhelmed with emotions. And I don't know how to process it, because it's hard to see crisis and death all day long. And bro said to me, you know what? This is how I handle it. And this is the training that I went through. And how I validate bro is I went to go get the training so I could better assist my brother. Right? I think it's unfair for me to come in as I am, and I have the same concept for the church. I need to know, do your church have a dressing room? Can I change on the inside? And that's what I want to do with my friendship with my bro. I want to make sure I could change on the inside. So going to training, I went to training because I wanted the information, but I want to know my brother, no, I support you so much. I'm going to go get better at this as well. So I'm lockstep with you. I can see what you see.
That's good.
I can hear what you hear, because now I've been trained to see how you see it. So now I can better assist you, because when we win, we win. They get the whole team the trophy. I don't need MVP. Just give me the Lombardi. Right? Let me hold it up in my house for a week. I give it to you for next week. Right? And I think why I needed to let him know that is because he needs to know not only is his words valuable, but so is his insight. Dude got it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So I said, yo, what you cooking? You know what I mean? Show me how to do it. You know, and, you know, being that I'm Jamaican, you know, I'm going to put a little, you know, maybe a little jerk sauce on it. You know what I mean? Put my little blend on it. But I trust him so much that I'm going to find out how to be the best version of myself. So together we could be locked in. And I think that's how I can really help my bro really in those spaces. And also, too, when I see bro in those spaces, I make sure that we dap real hard, we hug real hard. So anybody looking, we still locked in. Right? We locked in. And I think that's how we validate each other. Because I give this last example. There's a community that he's from, he spoke about earlier. London knows, but, you know, it's called the Oaks. And, you know, when you become a Portsmouth, you know, native, a resident. So I'm P-Town now. So, and they didn't have any lights, and he'll tell the story a little better. So I'm gonna let him tell that story. But
Go ahead.
They didn't have any lights. I'm gonna have you tell it better. But bro asked me to pray for the community, and there was a moment where there was some youngins out there, you know what, some young kings out there, like you said, Dr. Jordan. And so I called them over. I said, we get ready to pray. Once I come over so we could pray together, we could hold hands and pray. They didn't move. And I kind of looked at bro like, man, they ain't come to us so they could get prayed for, right? But what I didn't understand is what I didn't see. Bro said to me, bro, they didn't move, not because they didn't want prayer. They didn't know what to do. Right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes these communities get overlooked. No one comes into these communities and say, yo, let's pray.
Yeah.
So they didn't walk away. He said, Fitz, did they walk away? I said, nah, they ain't leave. He said, did they cuss? I said, no, they ain't cuss. He said, they tell you need to get up out of here? I said, nah, they ain't do that either. He said, exactly. They wanted it. They didn't know how to receive it.
That's good.
While once again, I lock in with bro. because he saw what I didn't see. My assignment was clear, pray. But what wasn't clear was what I thought I saw on the other end. Bro showed me what I saw, and I was like, oh. So when I'm going back into the community, you ain't got to move. Just listen.
Yeah.
And eventually, we'll get to the place where we'll lock hands.
Yeah.
I just got to keep showing up. But bro stamps me. I go into the community with bro. He's a credible messenger. I could come in and bring my Jesus juice, sprinkle it on everybody. You know what I'm saying? And now it's a twofold approach. He's there to save lives. I'm there to help save souls.
So, yes. Yeah. I like that. All right, well, I know you got to go, but I got one more question. This one's going to be quick,
Sure.
I promise.
Yes.
So I got into Red's car, and I didn't know what kind of music he listened to.
Yeah.
But he had on some Jamaican music, and I think I'm just kind of putting the two and two together. Like, did he influence you to, like, listen to reggae, Jamaican music? Or was that something that happened before?
Thing. So one of my sale partners in prison for 9 years was a guy that was from Kingston.
Okay.
And that's why, like, people can talk Jamaican, I can understand it to a degree. I can't speak it, but he taught me a lot about patois. But that's how I got into it. And plus, Norfolk, Cross Street, they listen to a lot of that. But when I'm in my mode of just relaxing, Burris is my guy. And Burris is great to come here. Like, Burris is my guy. That's my healing when it comes to that. It's crazy. I didn't know she read it, but yeah.
Listen, I pay attention to everything. I observe everything.
Bad salmon.
Yeah. I was like, oh, maybe that's where it came
actually,
in.
You just put me on because I've never heard bro listen to the reggae
Every
music.
time he come around, I'm listening to about 1,000 minutes.
That's what I would have thought I was gonna hear when I got into your car. That's how I was like, oh, this is different. Maybe that's why.
That's the side of me they don't know.
You just helped me with that because I did not know.
Never.
Now you know.
He's never heard me listen to slow music.
That's crazy.
You just helped me that, so we appreciate that.
It's a brave space.
Yeah, it's a brave space.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Something that people don't know.
Yes.
Can I ask you one question before I go?
For sure.
Where do you think the church is missing in the work that we all do?
I think the pastors don't look like the needs of 2025 in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like how you said earlier, like this is ministry. Like the way I see you is like a pastor in CVI. I told Marcus McAllister that when he was on the podcast. You know what I mean? Like you have to realize like what especially young people are experiencing and seeing and going through these days. If you can't meet them where they are, you might think that you're doing ministry, but like, who are you ministering to? Like, if you're ministering to people who already have a strong foundation in faith, there's a place for that.
Sure.
But if that's the majority of the church, if that's the majority of the Black church, we're not getting anywhere. You know what I mean? Now, if we have some more CVI pastors come into the fold, you know what I mean? And even just the story you described, which is so powerful because they didn't move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that right there means that they have a level of respect for you and you have a level of influence for them because nobody said, no, we don't want you to pray for us. You know what I mean? And like the Bible says, like God has placed the Spirit within us. You know what I mean? Sure. So if we can tap into that and get people to, at minimum, just stay and listen, like that right there is powerful. But if you expect them to come into your pews and that's the only place that they can learn about Jesus, we're not getting anywhere. You got to go into London Oaks. You know what I mean? You have to go into a Forest Cove in Atlanta when it was around. You know what I mean?
Jesus
you have to
went to the people.
You have to go to the people.
Thanks.
He was in the Jesus was in the community.
100%.
I tell people this all the time.
He was in the community.
No, I say it all the time, man. I believe Jesus was a gangster, man, because Jesus went in the hood, man. You know?
No, for real, he was.
Just to be, because what we got to think about, he went amongst the group of people that the holier than thous are saying, don't go around.
Don't go there,
Thanks.
yeah.
So you're contradictory to what you're saying. Yeah. So this is why our young people, who's smarter than they think, they'll sit back and say, oh, this and that. But when the young people can read and understand that you're supposed to love me unconditionally, and then you judging me, why should I come to you?
Right.
You're hypocritical.
Yes.
And I tell my brother all the time, and we had this, and that's when I had a conversation with him, and he said to me, I told my brother, if I go out in the community and I know somebody's getting ready to die, and I don't get involved in it, their blood on mine. And I tell my brother, if he don't go do what God has designed him to do and destined him to do and put inside him to do, when it's time to answer, God ain't going to say, he can't tell God, man, I ain't do it because, I ain't want to make Redmond mad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of times we don't do stuff because we don't want to make somebody mad.
Right.
I don't care about nobody.
Right.
I care about what's right.
Yeah.
So with me, I'm a person that it's a gift and a curse with me. Sometimes I've messed up situations because I'm too honest. And doors have been open for me for being too honest. But I would rather for to be totally honest and have a door closed than lie and get in from doing wrong.
Yeah.
Because as soon as it go bad, it's going to say, he the person that did X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
So my lane got to be a straight line. I can't even stagger a little teeny bit.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell my brother.
Facts.
Yeah. Well, I just really appreciate this conversation. And I think it was very rich and powerful. I definitely plan to be back in the city at some point, and I'm hoping that we can just keep this conversation going, because I think both of your perspectives on faith is so important in CVI, because you're literally talking about the difference between life and death.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So I think having that perspective and having you share stories like you did, your own experiences, and then how you're working with the younger people too, is so valuable in this space. So I appreciate all the conversation. Thank you for coming on the Brave Space. So this is the Brave Space podcast. Brave Space is a healing place for gun violence prevention professionals and survivors. We meet, we process, we heal in community.
VA.